All right, what is up, everybody? How are we doing tonight? So, wanted to make a quick video to clear up some more Kenosha rhetoric. Now, if you've been around the Never Stop platform for quite some time, you know that a YouTuber who goes by the name V Radio and I don't get along very well. Here's why. V Radio, aka Neil Kiernan, likes to put out misinformation when it comes to Kenosha, along with a lot of the other videos he does. He gets his so-called facts from reading misleading news articles that were pumping out articles and news clips at a rapid pace that didn't have all of the facts and still don't because they never investigated anything regarding Kenosha. He also likes to get his so-called facts from Kevin Mathewson, the commander of the Kenosha Guard, the guy who is responsible for bringing the militia to Kenosha with his infamous Facebook post and who also claims to be a journalist. Yet he writes defamatory and false light articles and is known for putting out false rhetoric and has even been called out on it multiple times, even by the Kenosha Police Department themselves. Now, I've tried to correct V Radio about his misinformation and disinformation, but he refuses to correct his false narratives. He refuses to look at any of the thousands of documents that Never Stop has obtained through open records request and the thousands of hours of video footage we have on our channel. Nor has he read any of the articles that we wrote regarding Kenosha and the truth of what actually happened. Now, tonight, V Radio celebrated his birthday. So I thought I'd pop in to say happy birthday to V Radio. I was instantly greeted with laughter and an intro to how I call him out all the time about Kenosha and how he schools me that his facts are correct and mine aren't, followed by his misinformed audience who choose to believe what he says, again, despite the countless records and articles that Never Stop has released to the public about what really happened during the Kenosha 2020 unrest. Now, the problem for people on social media who want to talk about Kenosha without doing actual research, reading thousands of documents, and watching thousands of hours of footage, and instead listen to the false rhetoric that runs rampant across social media, is you spread more misinformation and disinformation that creates issues for those who actually live in Kenosha. And it continues to spread hate and violence in my city that I have spent over 2 years investigating. So now we need to call Neil out publicly since he refuses to correct his false rhetoric. And when you try to call him out on his channel, you get put in a timeout by his daughter and made fun of. And he calls himself a journalist. I guess since he sides with the right so often, his style of journalism fits with the documented history of fake news, gossip, and rhetoric like Fox News. Here's how real journalism works. So let's take a look at a video that Neil just recently put out. Now, he's talked about this multiple times, and he's going to repeat himself again here.
I've demonstrated on this channel multiple times in multiple videos that I will put, in the description afterwards. Kenosha was not peaceful, and there were armed protesters, including, ironically, with AR-15s who took shots at like police bearcats and stuff. This was not in any way a peaceful protest, not even slightly. And there were a lot of out-of-state actors that were there causing problems. Despite the obsession with the fact that Kyle Rittenhouse crossed state lines, nobody talks about the fact that over 100 rioters were arrested from out of state, some from as far away as Oregon. But anyway, Anthony Huber.
Now, he makes a couple of claims here. The first one is about a rioter who took a shot at a bearcat. Now, even myself made the mistake of thinking that this was a rioter, but it wasn't. It was militia. And we're going to play this clip so you guys can see it. Now, this individual right here is the individual that Neil refers to as a rioter who is holding an AR-15 and then is going to fire at a bearcat. Now, the fact that this individual fired a rifle at a law enforcement vehicle is 100% correct. However, this individual is not a rioter. They are a militia member, a civilian militia member.
Gas us! Gas! 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 You're fucking cowards!
This individual right here with the body armor and the camouflage mask is also a civilian militia member. Militia showed up on the night of the 23rd, the day that Jacob Blake got shot, and they also showed up on the 24th. Now, the militia group that showed up on the 25th was a completely different level of crazy. But here's two militia members that are at a standoff with law enforcement.
Don't point it. I'm not pointing already. Gas! 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 They're gonna deploy! They're getting out! Out of the radius as fast as possible. I'm not doing it. 10-4 on gas! They're gonna gas!
There they are again, two civilian militia members. They're not rioters. These two are militia.
If you can't put it back there. They all have gas masks on. Get. Hey! Hey!
There's shot number one at the bearcat. And there's more shots at the bearcat. And we see in the video, he puts the rifle back towards the ready position. But that was a militia member. Neil says that it's a rioter. You know why? Because Neil has not done the actual research. Neil saw a video clip and made up his mind about what the facts were without doing actual investigating, and has put out rhetoric on his channel multiple times about who this person was and what their role was in Kenosha. Now, we've identified this person as a civilian militia member, and we've also notified the Kenosha Police Department. We asked Kenosha if they had ever identified this individual and if they'd been arrested, because we also have documentation that the bearcat was struck by bullets from an AR-style rifle. The response we got from Kenosha Police Department, Lieutenant Joseph Nozelik, the public information officer, was, as for the idiot with the rifle during the riots, I simply don't know. And I'm not going down some rabbit hole on a hunt to find out who he is. I agree with you that in the video it does sound like shots being fired from a rifle. Kenosha refuses to investigate, probably because it's a militia member. Now, let's prove some more about more militia and what their intentions were.
Hey, what are you? You're not so guard?
No, militia.
Oh, okay.
What's that?
Are you a random militia?
State militia.
Oh.
Civilians.
What are you guys here for?
We're here to make sure that if they start shooting me with real bullets, that we can shoot them back.
Militia that are waiting for law enforcement to use live ammunition on protesters. And in that video, there's more militia standing in the background. You recognize those guys because they also showed up again on the 25th, the Kyle Rittenhouse night. Now, another thing that Neil likes to talk about, and I've tried to correct this too, is that mainstream media put out an article that Kenosha had a bunch of people from out of area that were arrested. That was the verbiage, out of area. And the general public took that verbiage, out of area, and used it to say out of state. And that rhetoric has run rampant for over 2 years, that the violence that came to Kenosha wasn't Kenosha people and it wasn't Wisconsin people, that it was from out of state, as far away as Portland and all these other places. Now, Neil used this USA Today article that says, out of 175 arrested in Kenosha, 102 were not from Kenosha. He goes on to talk about this article in one of his videos, and he did it again when he's talking about the wrongful death lawsuit. And he points out, and he did it again tonight on his birthday stream. He showed the article again and talked about the dates of when people were arrested and how many. The article says out of area. And Neil says out of state, that 102 during this time period were arrested from out of state. That's false. That's rhetoric. How do I know that? Because we've investigated it and we received thousands of documents. Now, here's the documents that we're talking about. These are the arrests that are made during that time frame. So let's count them. On page 1, you have from out of state. Let's just look at this real quick. So out of area, according to the USA Today article, you have Kenosha, you have West Allis, which is another Wisconsin city, Madison, Waukesha, Milwaukee, Racine. Okay? And all 5 pages are the same stuff. All sorts of different cities. So let's talk about it. Page 1. Out of state. Matson, Illinois. West Al. No, sorry, I screwed that up. So we got Matson. Scroll down. Park City. Chicago. Then we go to page 2. Vancouver, Washington, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, Pasco, Washington, Chicago, Aurora. Those are Illinois. Waukegan, Zion. Those are all from Illinois. Wheeling, Lake Villa, Vernon Hills, North Chicago, Zion, Illinois. Zion again. Chicago. Then we have 3 from Blue Island. I'm going to say that those are Illinois. Highland Park. Beach Park. Waukegan. Zion. Lake Forest. Fort Bragg, California. Waukegan. St. Paul. Minneapolis. St. Paul. Minneapolis. Greensboro, North Carolina. Then there's a Greensboro, Connecticut. Then a Pink Hill, North Carolina. Then Chicago again. Then we have Iliard, Ohio. Matson, Illinois. So these are the arrests that article was talking about during the time frame specific to when that article was talking about. And there are 49 people from out of state. Not over 100 like Neil claims. Because Neil can't even read the article properly and changes the verbiage. So we're going to do these little videos on rhetoric that we hear. Because we have compiled thousands of documents and thousands of hours of video footage. Our channel, Never.Stop.Voices on YouTube, under the Never Stop Media LLC name, has the most records pertaining to Kenosha. And we have released the most information about what actually happened in Kenosha. Because we're a real journalism company. We're a real investigative journalism company. I am a real journalist. I'm not some YouTuber. But Neil refuses to correct his misinformation because Neil wants clicks and views. Neil wants the reaction. Neil sits in his basement, in his house, on a computer without the camera on. In Michigan. Not even from Wisconsin. And he gets his information from people who put out rhetoric. If you're going to talk about Kenosha, I suggest you come here first. Ask me if we have documents. Ask me if we have video. Ask me if I know about a particular situation that you would like to talk about. If you have not read thousands of open records and watched thousands of hours of video footage because you only took these little 2-minute clips off of YouTube and other social media sites and decided you were going to form an opinion, my suggestion to you is shut the fuck up about Kenosha because you have no idea what you're talking about. Thank you. Have a nice day. We'll see if Neil is actually going to correct his bullshit now, since he claims to be a real journalist. Hilarious.